El Chapo. On January 8, 2016, Mexican Marines raided a house in Los Mochis, Sinaloa. A massive firefight erupted. Inside was Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the most famous drug lord of the 21st century. He did what he always did. He ran for a tunnel. El Chapo had built his legend on tunnels. He pioneered cross-border passages with lighting, ventilation, and rail systems to move drugs into the United States. His empire spanned over 50 countries. Forbes listed him among the most powerful people in the world, but it was his escapes that made him mythical. In 2001, he bribed guards and walked out of a maximum security prison in a laundry cart. In 2015, he vanished through a mile-long tunnel dug directly into his cell floor. The passage had a motorcycle on rails. The escape humiliated the Mexican government on a global stage. Year after the second breakout, Marines tracked him for months through Sinaloa's mountains. His security circle carried surface-to-air missiles. They warned him of approaching aircraft 10 minutes out. He never stayed anywhere long. Then intelligence picked up that he had gotten careless. He started visiting cities, Mazatlan, Culiacan. In Los Mochis, he dropped through a tunnel beneath the house and emerged from a manhole into the city's drainage system. He stole a car, but this time the perimeter held. Marines intercepted him on a highway. The Tunnel King was caught above ground, extradited to the United States. Found guilty on all counts. Life sentence at ADX Florence, no tunnels, no bribes, no escape. El Mayo. On July 25, 2024, a private plane landed at a small airport in New Mexico near the Texas border, US. Federal agents were waiting on the tarmac. Inside the aircraft sat Ismael El Mayo Zambada Garcia, co-founder of the Sinaloa Cartel, zip-tied and sedated. The most elusive drug lord in history had been delivered gift-wrapped by his own allies. El Mayo had evaded capture for over 50 years, not once arrested. While El Chapo grabbed headlines, Zambada ran the business. He co-founded the Sinaloa Cartel and quietly built it into the world's largest fentanyl operation. The US government placed a $15 million bounty on his head. Narco ballads celebrated his invisibility. In a rare 2010 interview, he admitted the military had come close at least 4 times. He escaped through mountains he had known since childhood. He once slipped a note to a television host who accidentally read it on air. "I'm here." When the camera panned to the audience, he was gone. He told the journalist he was terrified of prison, said he would rather die than be captured. Then one of El Chapo's sons called him to a meeting outside Culiacan. Politicians were invited. Armed men in military uniforms stood by. It looked like routine cartel business. When Zambada arrived, men seized him through a window, bag over his head, dragged onto the plane, a drink laced with sedatives. The man who once said, "They will never find me," was undone not by police or technology, but by a handshake from someone he trusted. Amado Carrillo Fuentes. On July 4, 1997, Amado Carrillo Fuentes lay on an operating table at Santa Monica Hospital in Mexico City. 2 bodyguards stood in the room. 8 hours of facial reconstruction and liposuction were underway. The most powerful drug lord in Mexico was trying to become someone else. Carrillo earned the nickname, the Lord of the Skies, by doing something no trafficker had done before. He used full-sized Boeing 727 jets to fly cocaine directly from Colombia to the US border. While other kingpins fought wars in the streets, Carrillo ran his operation like an airline. He avoided flashy violence, he kept his head down. So few photographs of him existed that the DEA called him the Capo without a face. His estimated net worth reached $25 billion. He had Mexico's top anti-drug official on his payroll, but by 1997 the pressure was mounting. The governor who protected him was forced to resign. Mexican and American authorities were closing in. Carrillo fled to Russia, then Cuba, then South America. No country would take him. Desperate, he chose the operating table. Somewhere during the 8th hour, a reaction between sedatives and anesthesia triggered respiratory failure, then cardiac arrest. He died before the surgeons could finish. His mother identified the body. Few believed her. Then, 4 months later, the 2 surgeons who performed the operation were found dead, tortured, encased in concrete inside steel drums on a highway outside Mexico City. The Lord of the Skies was killed not by bullets or handcuffs, but by a scalpel. Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela. On June 9, 1995, Colombian police officers raided a residence in Cali. They searched every room, closets, bathrooms, under beds, behind furniture. Nothing. The house appeared empty. Then one officer noticed something off about a wall behind a bookshelf. They pulled it aside and found a hidden compartment. Inside, lay crouched in the dark, was Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela. The man who ran a multi-billion-dollar empire was hiding in a space barely large enough to stand. After Pablo Escobar's death, the Cali Cartel quietly became the dominant cocaine operation on the planet. They controlled an estimated 80% of the global supply. But unlike Escobar, the Rodriguez Orejuela brothers didn't wage war, they waged accounting. Gilberto was the strategist. They called him the chess player. He ran the cartel like a corporation, spreadsheets, compartmentalized cells, salaried employees. He bought politicians, judges, and media outlets. The cartel invested in banks, drugstore chains, and radio stations. His philosophy was simple: embed so deeply into Colombian society that removing him would be impossible. It almost worked. For years, while the world focused on Medellin, Cali operated in the shadows. But once Escobar fell, international pressure shifted entirely onto them. Colombian police, backed by US intelligence, launched raid after raid across the city. They worked through a web of safe houses, getting closer with each one. His brother Miguel was captured months later. Both were eventually extradited to the United States, sentenced to 30 years. The chess player's final move had been to hide in a hole behind his own books. Felix Gallardo. On April 8, 1989, Mexican federal police raided a home in Guadalajara. Inside, they found Miguel Ángel Felix Gallardo sitting in his living room, still wearing his bathrobe. No shots were fired. The most powerful drug trafficker in Mexico was taken without a single bullet. Felix Gallardo had built something no one before him had managed. He unified Mexico's scattered drug operations into a single empire called the Guadalajara Cartel. He brokered deals directly with Colombian suppliers. He moved cocaine across the border on an industrial scale. Governors attended his parties, generals took his money, police commanders followed his orders. For years, he was untouchable. Then he made a mistake that no amount of money could fix. In 1985, his cartel kidnapped DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena. They tortured him for 30 hours. They recorded it. Then they killed him. The United States responded with fury. Operation Leyenda launched, the longest homicide investigation in DEA history. His partners Caro Quintero and Fonseca Carrillo were arrested first. But Felix Gallardo's political connections kept him insulated for 4 more years. He moved to Guadalajara and kept a low profile. It wasn't enough. A new Mexican president needed to prove something to Washington. The political protection evaporated overnight. From prison, Felix Gallardo divided his empire among his lieutenants. The Tijuana corridor went to the Arellano Felix brothers. Juarez went to the Carrillo Fuentes family. Sinaloa went to El Chapo. His arrest didn't end the drug trade, it shattered it into something far worse. Pablo Escobar. On December 2nd, 1993, Pablo Escobar made a phone call to his son. It lasted just long enough. Colombian search block triangulated the signal to a middle-class neighborhood in Medellin. Within minutes, they had the house surrounded. Escobar had been the most wanted man on earth for 16 months. At his peak, He controlled roughly 80% of the world's cocaine supply. Forbes listed him as a billionaire 7 years running. He had already surrendered once, negotiating his own luxury prison complete with a nightclub and a soccer field. He continued running his empire from inside. When the government tried to move him to a real prison, he simply walked out. The manhunt that followed involved Colombian special forces, the DEA, US electronic surveillance units, and a shadowy vigilante group called Los Pepes. Escobar moved constantly. He never stayed in one place for more than 2 nights. His family tried fleeing to the United States. Refused, then Germany, refused again. He was running out of room. That phone call ended it. Search blocks stormed the safe house. Escobar and his bodyguard scrambled onto the rooftop. Gunfire erupted. 3 shots hit him, leg, back, 1 through the ear. Whether that last shot was self-inflicted or fired by police remains debated to this day. Over 25,000 people attended his funeral. The Medellin cartel collapsed immediately. But the cocaine trade didn't stop. It shifted first to the Cali cartel, then to Mexico. The phone call lasted 90 seconds. That was all it took.